To this 2-minute Verde video on how to run Greentree reports. There's a couple of different ways that we can run reports, usually from most screens. For example, an AR invoice screen, you get a hot print button available that'll print what's showing. If we click on the printer, we can see an area where we can enter parameters, and then we can either preview this, send it straight to the printer, or send it to the print and task queue, which we can talk more about later. So because we pressed the hot print button, we can see that it took the invoice number of the invoice we were sitting on and it entered it in the invoice from invoice to field, so it knows we're going to print this invoice. It also knows that the invoice has been printed once before, so it's printing a reprint. One of the things Greentree does is make sure that you don't accidentally send an invoice twice to the customer. So the first time will be a print, will go no problem. The second time you always have to select reprint. You can see down in here the invoice date to and from. They need to be entered even though they're not used. Obviously we're only printing one invoice, as you can see here. There is also a batch number. The batch number relates to how Greentree updates the general ledger in the background with the information on that invoice, so the sales and the cost of sales. You can see the from and the to customer are, well, the to customer are also filled out as in ZZZ, the last customer, but we're only going to get one. So print preview will give us a quick print of this invoice. In Greentree, the invoices are designed for each company, so we have a template and that template is set up. This is just a very plain basic invoice that's giving us the lines and the total. When we close that down, it's still got the print report screen open. From here we can actually choose whether or not it's going to PDF. We can select a particular printer that we would like this to go to, and down a bit further we have more options. We'd like to send it to a file and email it, we'd like to send it to a PDF and save it, or we'd like to email it. If we want to email it, all we need to do is enter the email address of the person you'd like to send this invoice to and choose print. It comes up and asks you if you'd like to schedule this. If you leave all of this blank and say OK, it goes straight away. If you'd like to schedule it to go later in the afternoon, you can click schedule and enter the date and the time you'd like it to go. Let's leave it as it is and say OK. If you do, let's just change this back to a printer. We can do quick print, and quick print will bring up the printer setting, standard Windows screen, and OK will send that to the printer. When we customize the reports that are available in Greentree, we can also add or remove parameters. So I can see that there's one being added here that we wouldn't usually see on an invoice, which is to print barcodes. So there's a lot of flexibility in the way we customize these per site. Let's go and look at a different way to print this invoice. When we're doing hot print, we're only getting a print of the invoice we're sitting on. But what if we wanted to print 2 or 3 invoices at the same time? Under reports, we can see each of the modules that are available, and within that we can see the reports that are available. And in here I can choose invoices. In here I could say from an invoice if I knew the invoice number to a certain invoice. So selecting our report parameters, we can say from invoice 250 to invoice 257. These have been printed before, so I've selected reprint and preview. We can move through the invoices one at a time using the arrows at the top. We can make them a little bit larger so we can see what's happening in here, and we can actually drill down to the information underneath these invoices as well. For that invoice, while it is previewed, we can actually use the save button to save it to Excel, a PDF or text. Let's close that down. There's some other features that you'll see. So if we go into General Ledger and we look for a trial balance report, In here we can see the company that we're printing it for, and we get an option here called a tree. Tree is quite a special feature for Greentree, and it allows us to group and select information that we'd like to report on. So I'm going to pick one that's shaped as a profit and loss. And once I do that, the reason that these are called trees is because they can have branches and sub-branches of information, as you can see. So we can see here in the tree that we can choose the information that we would like. So there might be a number of general ledger accounts grouped under general expenses. To remove that from the report, you just need to untick it. This is going to go to a PDF at the moment. It's going to go for period end January. Let's change that to something more current. In this case, we'll do end of September. You can also choose how it's going to be printed, so by number or by description. Let's change it to by description and choose preview. In here we can drill down to a general ledger account, or if we wanted to search the report for anything to do with sales, we can click on the binocular and type in sales, and it will slowly move through the report and find anything with the word sales in it. Thank you for joining us to look at how you print reports in Greentree.